In honor of Marill Day, I've decided to dive deeper than anyone has ever dove before on Azumarill IV spreads for Great League PvP. For example, we all know that what our attack, defense, and HP IV matter for PvP, but how much do they really matter? In this video, I'm going to be highlighting various Azumarill IV spreads that hit certain checkoffs that can be very important for PvP. For example, if your Azumarill has less than a 128 defense stat, it could be taking twice the amount of damage from Dragon Breath on Altaria in that matchup. If you don't believe me, here's a side-by-side comparison. The Azumarill on the right has the less than 128 defense stat going on. The Azumarill on the left has the Big Daddy defense stat. And speeding up the video here so we can get to the end very quickly, you can see that there is a massive difference in performance between these two Azumarills. And this isn't the only matchup where having a specific defense, a specific HP, or a specific attack stat can matter for Azumarill in PvP. Now, of course, tracking all of this can be an insane headache, and luckily for you guys, I already tracked it for you. Before we get into all the different IV spreads, there are some Azumarill basics I want to cover with you. First one is to not get duped by the baby discount. The baby discount refers to baby Pokemon only costing 10k Stardust to unlock the secondary charge move. This is awesome for like Snorlax and Togekiss because, you know, they have 50 and 75k Stardust to unlock their secondary charge move, and it sounds like it could be cool for Azumarill too because Azumarill costs 50k Stardust, right? Well, to power up a level 20 Azumarill and 2-moving it all the way to level 40, that's going to cost you 235,000 Stardust. To power up a Marill and 2-move it, so you get the 50k Stardust, you know, from level 25 to level 40, that combined is 244,000 Stardust. So that's only 9,000 more Stardust for avoiding the baby discount. And this gets even crazier when you consider a level 30 or a level 35 Marill / Azumarill. The level 30 to 40 with the 50 only costs 200k, and then the level 35 to 40 with the 50 costs 138k. So don't pass up good IV spreads on Marill and Azumarill for Azurill because it actually is very likely going to be cheaper to use them instead of Azurill. That said, don't pass up really hot IV spreads on Azurill either, because if you got the good one, then you got the good one. You may as well roll with it. Then other Azumarill basics, Bubble is the fast move that you're always going to use. You never use anything but Bubble. Play Rough is the move that allows Azumarill to beat other Azumarills in the mirror matchup. Ice Beam is Azumarill's lowest energy cost charge move, and it gives it some play against grass-type Pokemon, which can be very nice. And then Hydro Pump is Azumarill's most powerful attack, and can allow it to hammer down various Steel-type Pokemon that would otherwise beat it. And with the basics out of the way, let's get into the IVs. And to help guide us along, I have my Azumarill IV Deep Dive article from GamePress up here. Link in the description as well. If you want to reference any of these IV spreads, you can definitely check out this article rather than trying to figure out where I set a specific number in this video. So starting out, we got to talk about the rank 1, or the rank 1s, if you will. The rank 1 refers to the highest stat product Pokemon as far as their combination of IVs go. So their attack multiplied with their defense multiplied by their HP. That suggests that that should be the optimal IV spread for a specific Pokemon. So the rank 1 here at level 40 is the 8, 15, 15, having a stat product of 2,366. If you want to know what the rank is of your particular Azumarill, you can always use the PvP IV spread analysis on Go Stadium. You just punch in your IVs here, and it'll let you know how your specific Pokemon, not just Azumarill, ranks compared to the others. And you can see here the rank 1 at level 40, 8, 15, 15, has the highest stat product. Of course, Azumarill is the type of Pokemon that can cap before the 1500 cap, and because of that, having it as your best buddy, which takes it to level 41 effectively, can give you higher stat product values. For example, the rank 1 level 41 is the 7, 15, 13, having a stat product of 2,376, so 11 more stat product than the rank 1. In general, I'd say the level 40 rank 1 is better though, because they have the same HP stat, they have basically the same defense stat, and then the rank 1 at level 40 has a higher attack stat. And as you'll find throughout this analysis, higher attack stat is really nice because it allows you to get charge move priority So when you have two Pokemon, same Pokemon, could be any Pokemon really, and they launch their attacks at the same time, the Pokemon with the higher attack stat is going to be able to land theirs first. So having the higher attack stat can be important in the mirror matchup, because if you're landing your play roughs before they can land their play roughs, well, who's going to be playing rough then? You know what I'm saying? So for those reasons, I think the level 41 is a bit better. However, there is the rank 2 level 41, which has a little bit extra spice going for it. It's the 7-14-14, right? So stat product is only 2,374. That's 2 less than the rank 1. Pathetic, right? But what you get out of this deal is a whole nother HP stat. An HP stat that level 40 Azumarill can't possibly match, which can be big in a lot of matchups. You know those matchups where all you needed was one more tap and you would have gotten your charge move, or those matchups where you hit a Pokemon and they survive with that little baby bit of red HP. Well, this is something that could potentiate that. And then once again, all your stats are basically the same as level 40, aside from that 1 extra HP. So if you're looking for a best buddy Azumarill and you want it to be the rank 1 or whatever, I'd say side with this guy, 7-14-14. Now, these three Azumarill are really great. I mean, they're technically the best Azumarill out there. They are missing out on something, and that is the Bastiodon breakpoint. It's common knowledge that Azumarill can't possibly beat Bastiodon without using Hydro Pump. But what if I told you that through the power of breakpoints, an Azumarill can defeat Bastiodon without Hydro Pump? If your Azumarill has an attack stat of 95.3, which is compared to the level 40 rank 1 Bastiodon, so max defense level 40 Bastiodon, or even higher at the 95.51, which is the rank 1 level 41 Bastiodon, I would say it's more likely to go for the 95.3. I have not seen a best buddy Bastiodon out there, but hey, good to keep both of these numbers in mind when you're comparing to Azumarills. It could be the deciding factor for you. With that attack stat, Azumarill gets 1 more damage on their bubble. And if that Azumarill also has a defense stat that is greater than 130.68, then it takes 1 less damage from Bastiodon's Smackdown. The combination of this allows a non-Hydro Pump Azumarill, a Ice Beam Play Rough Azumarill, to defeat Bastiodon in the 1-1 shield scenario and the 2-2 shield scenario. If you need help reading these, PvPoke, if the number is above 500, that is a winning matchup. If it is less than 500, that is a losing matchup. But if you really want to see it, I can click on this thing here, and you can see that in the 2 shield situation, Azumarill is now able to beat Bastiodon only using Ice Beams. And if you scroll down a bit further, you can see the breakpoints in action on PvPoke. So if you are looking for breakpoints for other Pokemon, other specific Pokemon, they are highlighted here on PvPoke. So yeah, you can see with that attack stat, you're getting 1 more damage on your bubble, and with that defense stat, you're taking 1 less damage from their Smackdown, allowing you to win. Now if you're sitting at home thinking, Ryan Swag, I use Hydro Pump. I don't need no Ice Beam nonsense for my Azumarill. Well, you may still want to pay attention to this. You can see here on PvPoke, if you have that attack breakpoint, your bubble is doing 1 more damage. In the 1 shield situation, you are able to KO Bastiodon on your second Hydro Pump. The second Hydro Pump here is dealing 66 damage. And the Bastiodon, this is the most perfect Bastiodon, mind you, has 64 HP less. Before throwing that second Hydro Pump, you got 14 bubbles there, which is 14 more HP for Bastiodon, which means you'd land that Hydro Pump and it would have enough time to land another Stone Edge, which is already charged, which could cost you another shield or could just deal more damage to your Azumarill. Do you want to end that fight with more than half your health left, or do you want to end that fight with about a quarter or less of your health left? You make the decision. And the attack and defense breakpoints on Azumarill in this particular matchup also optimize it for the 0-1 shield situation and the 1-2 shield situation against Bastiodon, allowing for even more Bastiodon domination. Ryan Swag, all this attack defense stuff is hurting my brain. I just want to know what the IVs are, Ryan Swag. Just tell me what the IVs are. Don't worry, I'm going to feed you the IVs here. I'm not going to make you sift through everything on your own. Now, as far as which IV spreads on Azumarill are able to achieve this, there are tons of them out there. I mean, it's the attack and the defense stats, so the more you drop your HP, the more you're able to potentiate those 2 values. However, to help us refine our search here, we also have to consider the Registeel matchup, the other Steel-type Titan of the Great League. If your Azumarill doesn't have Hydro Pump, but it has at least a 187 HP stat, you are able to overcome Registeel in the 2-shield situation. And I already did a PV Poke Sim hoedown for you, so I think you guys can take my word for it here. So in Azumarill that can meet the attack, the defense, and the HP here, necessary to dominate these Steel-type Pokemon, even without Hydro Pump, well, that would clearly be the superior Azumarill. Now, going right from left, you can see that these Azumarills slowly lose their ability to counter Registeel without Hydro Pump, but they do gain more of an attack stat, which can help out in the mirror matchup. Another thing to notice here is that the Azumarill that can beat Bastiodon but not Registeel have IVs that don't go below 10. So getting these spreads on your Azumarill is going to be far more likely than getting one with a 9 or an 8. That's because raid catching, egg hatching, and research rewards have an IV floor of 10, 10, 10. Catching those Pokemon, their IVs can't go below 10. So to get an IV that's less than 10, you're going to have to find that Azumarill in the wild, or you're going to have to trade a friend for it, which getting those spreads is going to be far less likely than getting the higher ones. So this might be what you have to work with. There are 2 other spreads here that work out pretty well that aren't featured. There is the rank 6, which is the 9, 15, 11, which is basically the same thing as the rank 7, but it has a 186 HP stat, so it loses to the Registeel there. Better yet, we have the rank 9, which is the 10, 15, 14. Which is very similar to the rank 7. In fact, it has a slightly higher attack stat, slightly lower defense stat, but that particular Azumarill can do both jobs. So this one is a little bit lacking. There are 2 more spreads out there, but the article does highlight them here. So those are 6 Azumarill IV spreads that you can think of. Now, I know throughout this article I've mentioned having a higher attack stat to give you more of an advantage in a mirror matchup against other Azumarill, and you might be thinking in the back of your mind, Ryan Swag, Azumarill is a much more common opponent for me than Bastiodon is. Are there Azumarill spreads that are optimized for taking out other Azumarill? Well, yeah, there are. I've got 2 of them listed down here. The Azumarill Slayers, if you will. First up, we have the 10, 10, 14, the rank 75 Azumarill. Such a pathetic, lowly rank Azumarill. Clearly, it holds a grudge against all other Azumarill, and it will rise up in the mirror matchup and take down all the Azumarill above it. Now you might be sitting back thinking, Ryan Swag, why 10, 10, 14? I mean, wouldn't we want an even higher attack stat on our Azumarill? Why don't we have a 15 attack stat on our Azumarill? Well, there are other factors at work beyond CMP when it comes to the mirror matchup. Of course, there's prior damage, prior energy, but that can flip anything, right? But there's also the potential for Ice Beams to get landed and Play Roughs to get shielded, and that can offset the general flow of battle. And when that gets offset, other factors potentiate your ability to win in the mirror matchup. The 128 defense stat here allows this particular Azumarill to avoid a lot of Play Rough breakpoints from opposing Azumarills. I know that sounds super deep and crazy, but there are breakpoints for charge moves, where charge moves will do 1 extra damage. And when you're considering a high-end mirror matchup where every little bit of damage matters, that 1 extra damage from those Play Roughs can be telling in the long run. Similarly, we have the 188 HP stat here. Just like with the Play Rough breakpoint, having that little bit extra HP can go a long way in a matchup that doesn't end on the charge move. You end on the fast move, that 1 little extra damage, the bubbles are only dealing like 3 damage to each other, right? So that 1 extra HP, in this case, probably 2 or more extra HP over higher attack Azumarill, can be very telling. There may be a better Azumarill for the mirror matchup out there. I'm not aware of it, but as far as checking off those boxes, this one does it. And it has the 10 IV floor, which is nice because this is a very obtainable Azumarill to take out all other Azumarill. Of course, if you want to get even crazier with this, we have our friend here on the right next to it, the level 40.5 rank 15 Azumarill, the 9, 10, 15, if you will. It has a lower attack stat than the rank 75 Slayer over here, but it does have a slightly higher defense stat, which can matter a lot for Play Rough breakpoints, and it has a 2 higher HP stat. It's got that proof in the pudding, 190 HP, that level 40 Azumarill cannot reach. And if having a bit more HP helps this guy out, then you can imagine that having even more HP, 2 more HP than this guy, helps this guy out even more. Now, I haven't gone over the 256 plus different permutations of an Azumarill versus Azumarill mirror, but I am finding time and time again that 190 HP stat being huge for dominating other Azumarill. So much so that the rank 2 Azumarill, the level 41 that I talked about at the beginning of this video, actually has a really good time in mirror matchups because that extra HP allows it to edge out other Azumarills. This one has that same exact idea going on, but an even higher attack stat, so it's able to get that charge move priority. Now, if this all sounds wingbat and crazy to you, like, Ryan Swag, you've gone too deep. You've gone too deep in the dive with Azumarill. Well, you can just scroll back up and go for these guys here, these 6 spreads. They'll probably be a little bit more useful for you. But if you do want to get crazy, these 2 are definitely crazy. So now you're probably sitting back and going, Ryan Swag, just tell me, what is the best IV spread? What is the spread I need on my Azumarill for it to be the best Azumarill? And I gotta tell you, friend, it comes down to what job you want your Azumarill to do. If you want to be super optimized for taking down Bastiodon and Registeel, well then going for the level 41, 8, 13, 12 is going to be the best bet. That said, if you don't want to best buddy an Azumarill for this, going for the rank 7 or the rank 9 can be as good. That is the 9, 14, 12 and the 10, 15, 14. That said, if you don't have those spreads laying around, but you do have the 10, 14, 12 or the 10, 15, 10 or the rank 6, which is the 9, 15, 11, well, those ones can also work out quite well. If you give them Hydro Pump, then they got that supreme domination of Bastiodon, and they don't have to worry about not having the Registeel HP there. And of course, finally, if you want your Azumarill to be an Azumarill Slayer, the 10, 10, 14 and the level 40.5, 9, 10, 15 are going to be where it's at. Of course, if all this is super confusing, just go for the rank 1 or the rank 2 level 41, and you'll probably be fine. There is no best when it comes to PvP. It's all what works for the job you need it to work for. And sometimes it comes down to what you actually have. I mean, there's 4,096 different IV spreads for Azumarill out there. You'll be lucky if you have any single one of these IV spreads that I talked about in this video. So get searching through all your different IV Azumarills and pick the one that works best for you. If you got any questions on this content, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more like it, well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you'd like to support the Swagman on Patreon, do it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yeah. Before throwing that second Hydro Pump, you got 14 bubbles there, which is 14 more HP for Bastiodon.